The world of parasport is more than medals and accolades. Join hosts Greg Westlake and Travis Murao as they delve deeper and examine the important issues impacting sport. This is Beyond the Field.
Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm Travis Murao. When it comes to being a high-performance athlete, being fit mentally is as critical as being fit physically. And on this episode, we're exploring the role mental health and preparation play on and off the field. Later in the show, Greg will talk to Paralympic cyclist Lowell. But first, I'm joined by Paralympic bocce star Alison Levine. Alison recently won bronze in pairs at the Lima Pan Am Games, after which she rose to #1 in the world rankings. Alison, how are you doing? It's great to see you.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Now, bocce is such a tactical game. What role does your mental preparation play in your success and rise up the ranks?
I like to say that 95% of bocce is played between both ears. It's an extremely, not only a strategic game, but the amount of mental stress that's put on you as an athlete when you're playing, in having to analyze, decide, and then execute in a matter of seconds, and execute to a degree of millimeters, is a very stressful thing. And training your mental preparation for bocce is a huge component. I would say even more important than the physical.
I can totally imagine that for sure. So tell me, how has your mental preparation and strategy evolved since you began competing?
So I have to say that for me, actually, the mental side of things was my weakness when I started. And I believe that now it's actually one of my strengths. I'm in general a person who's not very patient. It's one of my weaknesses. I have no problem saying that. And someone who gets frustrated really easily. So when you look at it on paper, how am I possibly going to be good at bocce? It doesn't make sense. So through time and experience and working with our mental preparation expert, I really worked on how I react to the things that I can control. So anything that I can't control, how do I block those things out and be able to concentrate enough to compete and compete at the elite level? I have a very specific routine that I go through, and it's second nature to me now. So, once I decide what my shot's going to be, I line up my chair, put my brake on, select which ball. When I take it in my hand, that's when I take my deep breath. I lean over my chair, make sure I'm in the right spot. Then I wind up and I shoot and I come back up. No matter what happens, good shot, bad shot, always try to do the exact same thing.
Wow, that's really interesting. So every shot is like a mini ritual that you have down pat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, when you play, you have opponents right next to you. Is there ever any trash talk that goes on?
Only with one country in particular.
Oh, well, you don't have to name any names here.
I will not. No, I will not. In general, bocce being a relatively small community, we all, even through the language barriers, we all kind of communicate. Some people are a little more reserved, but the majority of us kind of get along and through broken English, except for that one particular team, which is very unfortunate, but you have to deal with it.
Now, do you find playing against a rival like that throws you off, or does it help you stay focused?
It used to throw me off. It was, I at one point, I said to my coach, I never want to play against them again. I said, sub me out, put in the two boys. Now you can't because you need a female on the court, but it was so distressing to me that I just couldn't, it would ruin the rest of my competition. And this player knew that, so he did it more and more. Now it's the opposite. I get on court and I just laugh like when he's doing it, because I think to myself, he's just intimidated. That's the only reason why he's doing it, is because he's scared. So bring it.
Oh, I love it. So we finally get to see the killer come out. I've seen you do, a lot of interviews, and you're very nice and well-spoken, but I've also seen you play, and man, when you're on the bocce court, you are a straight-up assassin.
It was nice to get to
stoop
see
to
it.
that level,
Now, when these games are finished, we know a lot of athletes feel a post-games letdown. Have you ever experienced that, and how have you dealt with it?
2016 feels like it was so long ago that I don't quite remember exactly, but there was definitely that slump, that 2 week post Paralympics where you come home you get caught up on, watching everything that you PVR'd on your TV, and then you're kind of stuck like what now, When you're not in the moment of sport and everything that you've been training for the last 4 years is now over, it really kind of makes you reevaluate who you are as a person. And you have to look at the other side of you. Okay, who is Alison when she's not an athlete? And that can sometimes be really hard to stomach, and thinking, really, who am I?
Yeah. Now, when it comes to your team, meaning your teammates, your coaches and administrators, are they supportive when it comes to those mental health issues?
Definitely. I think I'm really lucky in that sense. Things have changed even over the last, I'd say really improved in the last 5 years. I came onto the team being someone who tends to be a bit emotional, not emotional in that I react to things more than people, but emotional in that I'm someone who needs to share and needs to get things out and talk things through. My coaches weren't used to that. And at first they thought it was a sign of weakness. And I had many conversations that would end with me in tears, feeling like I was being told that I had to change and I had to toughen up, so to say. Over the years, and thanks to the help of the mental preparation experts as well, the coaches have learned, and I've learned, to accept the fact that that's how some people process things. And as long as it's done in a healthy and constructive way, it can be a great strength and actually not a weakness at all. So now communicating with my coaches and my teammates, even when things aren't going well mentally, is not viewed as something that shouldn't be done. It's encouraged.
That's great to hear. Alison, this conversation has been so insightful, and I've had a blast talking with you. So thank you, and best of luck in Tokyo.
Thank you.
You're watching Beyond the Field with Greg Westlake and Travis Murao. This is Beyond the Field.
Welcome back. I'm Greg Westlake. Before the break, Travis spoke with Alison Levine on the importance of mental preparation in bocce. Now I'm fired up to talk with psychologist and Paralympic cyclist Lowell to learn about the impact mental health has on high-performance athletes. Lowell, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Great to see you, Greg.
Great to see you, Lowell. Let's dive right in. As high-performance athletes, why is it important that we spend time on our mental health?
We often talk about sport being physical and mental. So if we are only working on our physical health, when it comes to game day, we're not going to be there in the full capacity. We're looking for nominal gains. We're looking for ability to outperform our competitors. We're all training really hard. If you can't put that training into practice through your mental health, through being there on game day, for calming your nerves and performing at your best, you can't utilize all of that training, all of that work that you've been doing.
Well, you're definitely right. I know for myself, I've seen huge gains as an athlete once I started checking in, doing breathing techniques, and really focusing on my mental state. And on the topic of mental health, many athletes say they struggle with mental health issues throughout their whole career. Is that something that you've witnessed on the cycling team or even experienced yourself?
Yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs when you're doing high performance sports. There have been big moments of struggle. In one of my races in 2018, brand new bike, brand new parts, and right off the starting line on our most important race, I break the cranks right off the bike, brand new. And that ends our selection event, our carding criteria. So our ability to get onto the national team, ability to get the funding for the year, all gone in that one race, in that one broken bike. And the moment, the heart just sinks. And so there are moments of depression and anxiety and disconnection. There are a lot of moments where people don't feel like the healthiest versions of themselves. And in those moments, we do have supports available. And so keeping things in perspective, having the right team around there to talk to and work through is really helpful.
Yep, you're 100% right. I know for me, my family, my friends, my teammates, I rely on them all the time. I am curious, do you think your experience as a psychologist helps you with tough moments and as a high performance athlete overall?
I feel that being a psychologist has definitely helped me with my high performance sport. They're both connected. So to be a cyclist, to be performing at the national and international level, I have to train really hard. And that's a great way to reduce my stress and to stay healthy and to stay grounded so that I can be the best father and husband and psychologist that I can be. And then I can take those skills as being a psychologist and I can apply them into my high performance sporting events. To use the right mindset, to use the tools to make sure that I'm grounded can help me perform at a really high level. And then I can help be a part of the team and help my team rise to that level as well.
You know, speaking of high performance athletes, do you feel that para athletes are better equipped to deal with mental health issues, or do they potentially face more challenges?
I believe that para athletes will likely have more mental health concerns as they go through and try to deal with overcoming extra obstacles in their life. That can lead to deeper resilience, deeper growth, a sense of joy of overcoming that everything is a gift after that moment of injury, after that loss. But there are some big ups and downs, and I've seen it in a lot of para athletes. But I think with the downs, we also see that the para athletes can have so many amazing ups because everything is a gift, and there's so much gratitude for the people in their lives who are helping them achieve these amazing things.
It can definitely be a roller coaster. One thing that I hear from people with disabilities is that because they're already dealing with a physical impairment, maybe they're less likely to come out and say, oh, I have anxiety and I have depression. Do you feel like people with disabilities are more likely to suffer in silence?
We're doing better as a society in having conversations about mental health. It's hard to have some people open up because there is a stigma, there is some shame connected that it sometimes feels not okay to be not okay. And if we have a safe environment, a safe relationship, and a place where we can be vulnerable, then people are able to open up. So we need to keep having conversations that it's okay to have an off day, it's okay to feel down, and to make sure that we're then connecting to the right supports, the right people, the right activities to help us really bolster that mental health.
You've mentioned the word support now a few times. Do you feel like there is enough support out there for our para athletes?
We're having more conversations about mental health. We have some really good champions in Canada who are kind of pulling this forward, this movement of mental health, but we can always do better. Para athletes are often living at home with their own families. They're not a part of this team environment. And I think it's easier to check on one another and have those eyes on and have those conversations when you're living and training together. So para athletes are often more on their own. And I think that's going to be more difficult for the programs to provide that support to them when they're scattered across Canada in their own communities. So I think we need to do better at accessing and providing these supports. However, on the flip side, I think para athletes have built such a strong community to get to where they're at. They've already overcome so many obstacles that they have a support system in place. They have people in their lives that have helped them get to this high level. And then they use those supports to continue to do really well. Where many able-bodied athletes, they may have not had the same challenges and struggles with mental health and overcoming obstacles in their life. So when they do hit their wall, they haven't built that system and that support in order to get over it.
That's very true. So what happens to the athlete when we don't address these mental health issues?
There becomes a downward spiral when we don't address our mental health. We stop taking care of ourselves, we start avoiding and withdrawing. And as athletes, when that happens, our performance is going to go down, and that's going to create more downward spiral where we're going to feel more shame and guilt and blame and judgment and self-criticism. That downward spiral can create this environment where we just continue to fall down and down into hopelessness and despair. We need to make sure that we're being preventative, that we're taking care of ourselves. Nobody can do mental health work for you. It's something that you have to engage in a regular, consistent practice.
I agree. You have to put in the work. And I know that this is the million-dollar question, but how do we get athletes to open up more? How do we get people to not be scared of the stigmas around mental health?
When we're able to connect with somebody and feel heard in a safe relationship, it just happens naturally. I think people want to connect. That's a human condition, is connection. So when we provide environments that are safe, our national sport organizations, our homes, our families, our teams, when we create those safe, inclusive spaces, and when we see people and hear them and really ask questions and are curious, people will open up and connect.
I think that's great advice for not only athletes, but for everybody. Lowell, you help so many people and you're going to continue to do so. Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much. It's great to have these conversations.
More to come on Beyond the Field. This is Beyond the Field.
Welcome back. I'm Travis Murao, and I'm joined by my co-host, Greg Westlake. Today, we'll be talking about mental health and preparation. Now, Greg, I'm wondering, during competition, how would you describe your mental health? And do you practice any self-care rituals?
Yeah, it's a great question, Travis. You know, one thing we do with Hockey Canada is we wake up every morning and fill out a daily questionnaire about just how we're feeling. And that's a confidential survey that goes right to the sports psychologist. So what we're trying to do is eliminate anyone suffering in silence. And this way you don't have to go to a teammate, you don't have to go to a coach that affects your ice time and open up to them. It's just a survey that goes off, and then that way someone will come to you if help's needed.
Wow, man, that sounds like a great system where we have that same thing in place for our physical well-being, but including a mental health component just seems like a great idea.
Absolutely, and I've noticed a big shift in the younger generation versus the guys that I came up with. I do find we're a lot more open now to having these conversations, being a little bit vulnerable, raising your hand and getting the help that you need. So I think it's very encouraging and promising for young athletes right now.
Yeah, I gotta say that I've noticed a big shift in how sports psychologists and mental health awareness has been perceived by athletes, where when I started, it was one of those taboo subjects that you didn't really talk about openly with teammates. And now athletes are just so much more aware of how it affects performance and more willing to talk about things. It's been great. Have you noticed that in sledge hockey?
Our team's had some tough losses in the past, OT losses and gold medal games, and some stuff that's tough to recover from. And some of those losses actually spurred some great conversation on mental health and performance. You know, we learned that a lot of guys had a hard time getting over the loss, the way in which we lost. And so you can dwell on that and be sad about that, or you can start thinking about, what if we're in that situation again? It's not uncommon to be in overtime in a gold medal game. So now I feel like we have the tools in our tool set that when we are in that position, we know exactly what to do.
Now, did you struggle to incorporate any of those visualization or mental health practices into your rituals at the start? Because I know for me, I was skeptical. I didn't understand how it would help me. I thought I had been competing for a long time and I had things dialed in, and man, was I wrong. So did you find that piece too, where you were a little slow to adopt some of those practices?
A little bit, yeah, especially in a team sport. One thing I find is, the culture is contagious. If the leadership group and guys who are influencers on the team are all doing their breathing exercises, they're waking up and filling in their daily journal about how they're feeling, then that spreads like wildfire through a change room, and then everybody will buy in and start doing it. But if you don't do it, and if your leaders aren't doing that, the older guys, the veterans aren't doing that, then the younger guys won't follow. And so that's another thing I've noticed as well, is the younger guys, they keep up with it right now, they do it, and the young leaders on the team, they get it done. And that's what you need, because I know for me, it wasn't until after guys retired, they'd sometimes admit, yeah, I was battling this or suffering from that. And that's so sad when you think about having to deal with it after your career's done. And so I think it's really encouraging, it's promising, but yeah, you need everybody to commit.
In Lowell's interview, you asked him whether he felt para-athletes were better equipped to deal with mental health struggles. I'm wondering what you think.
I think yes and no. For me personally, Lowell gives such great information, and he's the pro on that field, not me. But for me, I can tell you that I have the utmost respect and admiration for Paralympians and para-athletes, because they've already overcome so much. You're looking at a group of people who are cancer survivors, military veterans, people who have battled all types of adversity and come out the other side and said, no, I'm going to be an athlete, I'm going to be world class, I'm going to be a community leader. So it's a group of people that I think is very well equipped to handle whatever's next on the mental health, mental preparation side, just based on the adversity that they've already faced.
I totally agree with you, but I also agree with the point that you brought up where, you're already an athlete with a disability. There could be some reluctance to come forward and say, I'm also dealing with depression, or I'm also having other issues. I know that I've encountered a number of para-athletes, and I felt that way myself, where it's so easy to talk about an injury like, oh, I've broken an arm or I've injured an elbow, but to say that I'm really struggling with depression is such a difficult thing to come out with. And I think these kinds of conversations are really, really helpful in making athletes feel more comfortable talking about those issues.
Yeah, and I don't have the data to back it up, but it was just something that, nobody ever wants to feel like everything's wrong with them. And I've heard from a few guys that I know through parasport that, are amputees or are in a wheelchair, and they just don't want to feel like they require all this attention to get on the field of play. And so, mental health is all about breaking down those barriers and getting people to the point of raising their hand and admitting that they need help. And it doesn't always have to be this great big ordeal where you sit down and open up to all 25 guys on the team. Sometimes it can just be that one-on-one confidential conversation between yourself and the sports psychologist. So we're getting there, and I hope that para-athletes aren't reluctant, because if you need help, you need to solve it.
So much to unpack here today, but unfortunately, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us today, and if you'd like to continue the conversation, please join us at AMI.ca or on the AMI app.
Hosts Travis Murao, Greg Westlake. Producer Ted Cooper. Associate producer Alex Smythe. Editors Manuel Grados Andrade, Matthew McGurk. Integrated Described Video Specialist Ron Rickford. Audio Post Mike Monson. Graphics Mike Smith. Senior Producer Michelle Dudas. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2021. Accessible Media Inc.